Before we talk about extinction, before we talk about science, let's travel back to a world ruled by ice. Around 20,000 years ago, during the height of the Ice Age, vast parts of the Earth were locked in freezing temperatures. This was not the green planet we know today. Instead, enormous glaciers covered entire continents. Powerful winds swept across open plains of snow and ice. But hidden within this frozen world was a unique ecosystem known as the mammoth steppe. Stretching from Western Europe across Siberia and into North America, this was one of the largest land ecosystems in Earth's history. It was cold, dry, and covered in tough grasses that survived beneath the snow. And this was home to one of the most iconic giants of prehistory, the woolly mammoth. Unlike modern elephants that roam warm savannas, mammoths were built for survival in extreme cold. Their bodies were covered in thick, shaggy fur, sometimes over 3 feet long. Beneath that fur was a dense layer of fat that protected them from temperatures that could drop below -40 degrees. Their ears were small, much smaller than African elephants, so they wouldn't lose body heat. And their long, curved tusks were not just for defense. They used them like tools. During harsh winters, mammoths would swing their tusks side to side, clearing snow away from the ground to uncover the frozen grasses beneath. They were herbivores, plant eaters. Every single day, an adult mammoth could consume hundreds of pounds of grass, shrubs, and small plants. But mammoths did not live alone. Like today's elephants, they lived in herds. Female mammoths and their calves stayed together in close family groups, guided by an experienced matriarch, the oldest and wisest female. These herds migrated across vast distances, following seasonal food supplies across the frozen steppe. Young calves stayed protected in the center of the group. Adults formed a protective circle whenever danger approached. This was not just survival. This was a complex social life. Mammoths communicated through deep, low-frequency sounds, vibrations that could travel long distances across the open plains. For thousands of years, they thrived in this environment. They were not struggling to survive. They were dominating their world. The frozen steppe was not a wasteland. It was a kingdom, and the mammoth was its ruler. For thousands of years, the mammoth ruled the frozen north. They survived brutal winters, endless snowstorms, predators. They endured what few creatures could. But then, the world began to change. Around 12,000 years ago, the Great Ice Age slowly started coming to an end. At first, the change was almost invisible. Winters became slightly shorter. Summers grew a little warmer. Glaciers that had dominated the land for thousands of years began to melt. The vast grasslands of the mammoth steppe, the very foundation of the mammoth's survival, started disappearing. Open plains slowly transformed into forests. Wetlands replaced dry grasslands, and the mammoth's food supply began to shrink. Their world was fading. But climate was only half the story. At the same time, another species was expanding across the planet: humans. Early hunter-gatherers moved into the same territories where mammoths lived. Unlike other predators, humans hunted with strategy. They worked in groups. They used tools. They used fire. A single mammoth could feed an entire tribe for weeks. Its meat provided food. Its bones became tools and shelters. Its thick hide became clothing against the cold. For early humans, the mammoth was survival. For mammoths, humans became a new and dangerous threat. Imagine being a slow-reproducing giant in a rapidly changing world. Mammoths did not reproduce quickly. A female would carry a calf for nearly 2 years, just like modern elephants. That meant their populations could not recover fast enough from hunting pressure and habitat loss. Climate change reduced their food. Human hunting reduced their numbers. And together, these forces became unstoppable. Herds that once stretched across continents grew smaller. then smaller still, until only isolated groups remained. The last known population survived on Wrangel Island in the Arctic. And then, around 4,000 years ago, while civilizations were rising in places like Egypt, the final mammoths vanished. No dramatic final battle, no single catastrophic moment, just a slow, quiet disappearance. A giant of the Ice Age, gone. Their extinction is more than just history. It is a reminder. A reminder that even the strongest species can fall when the world changes faster than they can adapt. And perhaps a warning for our own future. For centuries, the mammoth has been silent. Its massive footsteps no longer echo across the frozen plains. Its shadow no longer stretches across the snow. In laboratories around the world, its story is not over. In the frozen soils of Siberia, scientists have uncovered remarkably preserved remains of the woolly mammoth. Bodies locked in ice for thousands of years. Hair still intact. Tissue still preserved. Inside those remains lies something extraordinary. Ancient DNA. Fragments of genetic code that once built one of the most powerful creatures of the Ice Age. Modern biotechnology is attempting something once believed impossible. Researchers, including teams at Colossal Biosciences, are studying this ancient DNA, trying to insert mammoth genes into its closest living relative, the Asian elephant. To create an animal capable of surviving Arctic cold, to bring back thick fur, curved tusks, cold-resistant fat layers, to bring back something like the mammoth. But here is the reality. Even if science succeeds, even if a shaggy giant once again walks across the tundra, it will not truly be the same mammoth. Because extinction is not just the loss of a body, it is the loss of a world. The Ice Age climate is gone. The endless mammoth steppe no longer exists as it once did. The ancient herds that migrated across continents are history. The original mammoth, the one that survived glaciers, storms, and thousands of years of evolution, that mammoth cannot return. What science may create is not a resurrection, but a reconstruction. A modern creature carrying pieces of an ancient memory. And that raises a deeper question. Should we bring back species from the past? Or should we focus on protecting the ones still living today? The mammoth story is not only about extinction, it is about responsibility. It is about understanding how climate change and human activity can reshape the planet. And perhaps, the true power of the mammoth is not in its possible return, but in the lesson it leaves behind. A reminder that even the mightiest giants can disappear, and that the future of life on Earth is now in our hands. The mammoth may never walk exactly as it once did, but its story will never truly fade.
In the age of ice, one giant ruled them all.